Hey guys, Alex here from Brisbane Sound Group, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Aston microphone range, and we thought who better to run us through this range than the CEO of Aston himself, James Young. So James, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, no, doing well, thanks. Thanks for joining with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, nice to be here.
Awesome.
Or there.
Yeah, I thought before we started, maybe for the guys who have never heard of Aston microphones before, maybe you could just give us a quick spiel about how the company started, what you guys are all about.
Well, we're a boutique UK mic manufacturer. We're the only UK manufactured mic brand. We launched the first microphones in early 2016, and we're the only pro audio company ever in the history of the NAMM Tech Awards to be nominated 3 times for a Tech Award in our first 4 years,
Wow.
win Best in Show, and win a Tech Award for the mic that you're using right now, actually.
Very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. No, that's so cool. And I know one thing that I've kind of looked up when I've checked out Aston microphones is you have this really cool panel for like how you get your microphones going. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Aston 33?
Yeah, I mean there's quite a bunch of unique features really about the brand. I mean, one is the way the products look. I mean, you can see you've got them all laid out there as well. But and the other is the way that we develop the sound. Plus the fact that we got to be the voice of the UK microphone market, which is pretty cool. Music market. But the Aston 33, I mean, all of those things came about almost as a combination of an unhappy and a happy accident combined. My previous life, I was the guy that founded SE Electronics back in 2002, and my business partners in the UK basically ran that brand, did all of the R&D, the manufacturing, the marketing, the distribution, everything worldwide. Until 2014, when we had an unfortunate and sudden parting of ways,
Oh, geez.
an unexpected parting of ways. Yeah. So basically, that's what prompted us to sit down and think. Well, actually, we've got a hell of a lot of experience with microphones. Let's do it again, but this
Yeah.
time let's do it. So it's all ours, and we'll do it in the UK. And we've got this big opportunity. So it ended up being a really positive thing for us. And we sat down in 2015 and started designing the microphones and what we thought the brand needed to look like once we launched it. Launched the first products in 2016, and the rest is history. But as part of that whole process, we had to work out how we were going to develop the sound, how we were going to develop what the mics looked like. And in 2015, I had to make a series of calls to people that have become friends in the industry over the years, producers and engineers and artists in the UK, and say to them, what had happened with the split of the other company.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of them were saying to us, hey, look, if there's anything we can do to help you guys get back on your feet, please give us a call. And it's a bit like your bestie that kind of, if you split up with your girlfriend, they say, hey, there's a sofa here if you ever need it, mate.
Yeah.
We didn't expect to actually take them up on it, but as we started going through the process of the development of the circuit boards and the capsules for the mics, we thought, wouldn't it be great if we had all of these top producers and engineers helping us with the actual sound of the microphone? So I made another series of calls, and in the end, 33 of these people said, yeah, we'd love to help you with it. And that's what started the Aston 33. And we're talking about top producers and engineers here, people like Rick Simpson, the last 5 Coldplay albums.
Wow. Very cool.
Chris Porter, who was George Michael's producer engineer for 12 years, and et cetera, et cetera. There's like well, not et cetera. That sounds bad. it's a big list of very high end, music producers and engineers that actually were involved in developing the sound of the mics in blind listening tests. So we would record audio files from various different sources with various different competitor mics and iterations of our own mics.
Yeah.
And then we would put them out electronically and just numbered, so nobody had any idea what they were listening to.
Yep.
And the panelists would vote on it, and then we would collect the information. We'd progress mics to the next round, and that's really the magic of how we've managed to make Tech Award winning mics so quickly in our company history. So it's the Aston 33 panel now is, we've got more than 600 artists, producers, and engineers on our books.
Cool.
And
bit more
on
than
the
33.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we thought, the Aston 33 sounds good. We figured if we changed it every 5 minutes, as people it'd be a bit of a difficult market. New badges every week,
Yeah,
The Aston
exactly.
384. So we've kept it at that, and And that's really, I think, the secret to what won us Tech Awards so early on. We've got about 600, as I said, on the books now, and on the Stealth, I think we're about 120 odd producers and engineers that worked on the sound development for that.
Yeah, wow. So impressive. Oh, well, it's clearly working because we're big fans of what you guys are doing over there. So I thought it'd be cool if maybe we just quickly talk through the range. And I thought maybe we'll start with this guy right here. So the Starlet Pencil Cadencer. What can you tell us about it?
Well, it's our only pencil mic. It's got three decreasingly obvious to see, but fairly obvious sticky out bits on it, which are
Yeah.
that's a technical term. Which really separate it from the crowd. Obviously, it looks very different because it's got that big black laser housing on the top, and
Yeah.
it has the sintered head, which makes it really stand out from the crowd. The key features, really, other than it sounds really good, and it was developed by the Aston 33 panel again. It was the third product that we developed. The obvious one is the laser. So that sits in that laser, that housing on the top. And the idea of that basically is that it makes it really easy to set and recall mic positions. So if you imagine, well, for example, Chris Porter, rather, who I just mentioned, working with George Michael, he did the King Crimson's last world tour, and he did their last album, and they've got three drummers, right? So
right.
it's a bit of a headache.
That's and even a headache.
Yeah, quite. Especially on tour. And even in the studio, of course, if you're doing a residential, you still have to check the mic placement every morning when you start in case somebody's moved something. So these were a godsend because once they were in place, then all you had to do was turn the phantom power on, the laser's activated, you have a little mark on the drum kit to show where they were supposed to be pointed, and that was it. Set up, done, you know. Whereas normally it would take a long time. And the recall for when you're playing live as well. So they're great for drums, great overhead mics, but the same applies for things like acoustic guitar setup, which is a perennial nightmare if you're going back to a session and want to get exactly the same sound.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
You've also got the sintered head, which is this is the boring techie bit.
This little guy on the top here, yeah.
It is, yeah. We went through a lot of testing to actually use that as an enclosure for the capsule that gives it a perfect acoustic space to function. So the size of the little ball bearings that make up the head and the way that we're able to nickel plate those without kind of filling all the gaps in and making it so that you can't actually hear the damn thing. But as a happy result of using that sintered head technology to do that, what we found is that you get nearly perfect off-axis, linear off-axis response.
Oh, wow.
So if you think about on-axis is when you point the mic at something, off-axis is the spread effectively that it picks up. Every other mic on the market, rolls off the high frequency the further away you get from the midpoint, except Starlight. And Starlight basically gives you exactly the same frequency response right to the edge of the pickup. The cardioid pickup pattern, and then it just drops off a cliff. So when you point it at something, it's giving you exactly what's in the room, and that's why people love it as a room mic or an overhead mic.
Man, so impressive. Yeah, I love that recall function as well.
You got the three voices on it as well, just to add a little bit more, as if that wasn't enough.
I know, so much versatility in one mic.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice. Obviously, probably the next one, which people have probably seen the most, is these two guys over here. So large diaphragm condensers, both of them. We got the Origin and the Spirit. Do you want to give us a bit of a brief overview maybe about what the differences are? Because obviously most people probably look at it and be like, large diaphragm condenser, cool. But there actually is quite a bit of a difference between the two, right?
Yeah, people just think of them as the kind of the big brother with the extra patterns on it, and I mean that's kind of true in terms of functionality. If you just look at them, and you can tell some of the differences. The Spirit has got a 10 and 20 dB pad instead of just a 10 dB pad.
Spirit multi-pad one.
So that means if you want to use it for really high SPL sources, then you can do that. It's got a bass cut just like the Origin, but it's also got the 3 polar pattern switch in the middle of the front of the mic there. So that's omni, cardioid, and figure of 8. So just in terms of versatility of use, because of that functionality, it is more versatile than the Origin. However, they sound completely different, which is much more important. They've got a completely different capsule in them, not just the fact that the Origin is a single and that's a dual capsule, but the construction and the tuning of the capsule is completely different. So they're voiced differently. The PCBs, the printed circuit boards, the electronics are completely different circuit paths. They don't sound anything alike. And in fact, the Origin is transformerless, and the Spirit is a transformer
Yeah.
balanced mic as well, which tends to give microphones a bit more headroom and sound a bit more open at the top end. So in terms of when people ask me, which one should I get? Well, the easy answer to those is that actually, but both of these mics together cost less than quite a lot of single competitor mics that
Yeah.
they perform a lot better than. But the Origin, if you want something which is a little bit more smooth, a little bit more vintage sounding, then I would go for the Origin, and
Yeah,
it's a
cool.
really amazing mic to get in your collection for a first mic. And then the Spirit is a lot more, I would say, open and modern sounding, and it's a great mic for anything from rap to pop to, you can throw both of them at pretty much anything, but they do sound different. And with microphones, we get a lot of chatter. I often get asked, what do you think is the best mic? Not just ours, but other brands as well. And I always say the same thing, which is there aren't really any bad mics as such, because it's all dependent on application. You can take a mic that might be considered to be really bad for something, but it might be really good for getting you a grungy guitar sound, So it's all about what sound a mic gives you, rather than whether you think it's good or bad. And our microphones have all, although they all perform extremely well, I mean they're very high end sound microphones. The idea of the range is basically that for not a lot of money, especially for a hand built microphone, and especially in the UK, you can build a mic blocker with pretty much all of our products for less than the cost of one U87.
Yeah.
And yet in the reviews that are out there, even the Origin, which is at the moment the cheapest mic that we do, even the Origin compares very favourably to a mic of that cost. So
yeah. No, very, very super impressed with these guys. Lastly, I thought it'd be cool just to talk about the Stealth, which is actually this guy that I've been talking into this whole time. So this is obviously, it's a broadcast quality dynamic microphone, but it's got a lot of cool features going on in one single microphone. Obviously, probably the most obvious one, if people look it up, is that it's got kind of 4 selectable voices. So I thought it'd be cool maybe if you could talk through a couple of the features, but we might actually even talk through some of the voicing, and people listening, at home, maybe pop on some headphones, because then you're going to really hear the differences between all the voicings, because it's pretty obvious what's going on there. That's not subtle at all. So do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, the whole voicing thing came about, as it did with Starlight, actually, from the Aston 33 panel. We didn't realise how lucky we are when we launched with this thing, that the panelists all basically guided us in the same direction the whole time. And when we came to Starlight and then subsequently Stealth, they we had multiple different sources. So we were recording female vocals, male vocals, acoustic guitar, drums, zithers, everything, saxophone, you name it. There was loads of stuff. And we got 4 completely distinct groups of preferences. And we thought, bugger, how are we going to do this on a dynamic mic? So we set our boffins to work, and basically Trevor, who's this exceptionally talented engineer, came up with a way of having discrete circuit paths for inside the microphone. So there's no change to the capsule; it's the same capsule all the way through. But as you turn that twitch ring, you get very distinct voicings.
Yeah.
We ended up having 2 for different vocal styles.
So I think we're on V1 at the moment. Should I jump over to V2 just so people can hear the difference?
Please do, yeah.
Yeah, so V1 at the moment. Let's just jump it over. So that's V2. A lot of presence going on in that bad boy.
So you can hear immediately a lot more presence.
Yeah.
It's a bit more like a condenser microphone, a lot more actually, because in the blind test that we did, then we also were putting it up against things like the U87 and various other competitor mics out there. And this particular setting got chosen in the blind tests over the U87, which was absolutely remarkable. We couldn't believe that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, for 300 quid over here. How much is it in?
Pretty much double. So 600 Australian dollars, but still significantly cheaper than a U87.
Yeah, and the 7B, because one of the things about the this mic is that originally it was intended to be our attempt at doing an EVRE20 SM7B type product.
Totally.
It needed to come in underneath those prices for us, and in terms of technically what we could do, outperform them, because that's always what we try and do.
Yeah.
One of the other big things that, so the V1 actually sounds much more, sorry, the V1 I was going to say sounds much more like the SM7B. The setting you're on now sounds more like a high-end condenser microphone.
Yep.
The mic, of course, has also got a built-in, our equivalent of a cloud lifting device, which is another probably $2 over there, right?
Yeah, there, over $300, something like that, yeah. So
you get an extra 50 dB of gain out of that microphone once the phantom power switches the mic pre in, which it does automatically. We've then got a guitar setting, which is probably going to sound hideous to your voice.
Let's see what happens here. There we go. We're on it.
Yeah, so it's you need to keep talking a bit now.
Yeah. How do I sound in your ears? I mean, I still think I sound all right, but you tell me.
Well, none of them are hideous. I mean, it's like I was saying earlier. It's all kind of with any microphone, no matter what anybody tells you a setting is for or what the mic is designed for, you can use it for all sorts of things.
Totally.
A really good example of that is Matt Johnson. I don't know whether you remember him, the guy that was the the band the.
Oh,
anyway, you might not.
No.
He used one of those Shure harmonica mics for all of his vocals.
Oh, wow.
So it's a good example of somebody, using something not for its purpose, but it sounding absolutely amazing. But the guitar setting on this, you would find, certainly if I've tried using it for vocals, and it sounds really thin. The bottom end is not what you'd want it to be for a vocal, but for recording guitar, it's perfect because it gets rid of that boominess. It picks up all the transients and the harmonics, and it sounds absolutely amazingly detailed. So it's great for pick guitar.
Yeah. No, maybe not for vocals, but hey, maybe depends on the track.
The last one, the dark setting.
Yeah, let's just swap over to it. So there we go. We're on the dark setting now.
Ooh,
bit more moody going on there. Yeah.
So the whole point of this is basically it's our equivalent of modeling a ribbon sound in a dynamic microphone.
Yeah, cool.
And you can that. If you want to get jazzy vocals, vintage sound, if you want something to sound really natural in the room, guitar cab, anything like that, then it's an amazing setting.
Yeah.
And so effectively what you've got, and of course we're guiding people by saying it's, a guitar or a vocal setting, but of course you can use them on anything and try them around. But it's quite an incredible package, the Stealth, because you've got effectively a mic pre-built into it, which will cost you $300. You've got 4 mics in dynamic mode.
Yep.
And you've also got the 4 different sounds again in phantom powered mode, which makes all of them sound and perform a bit more like condensers. Plus you've got one which emulates a ribbon. So you've effectively got a dynamic condenser and a ribbon all in one mic and multiple settings and a mic pre, and it's all $600. It's
$600. Crazy. Yeah.
Out of all the mics in the range, I often get asked if I've only got budget to get one mic, what should I get? And it really depends on if you've already got other condenser mics or other microphones in your collection, dynamics, etc. Then I would definitely go for something like either the Origin or the Spirit, depending on what suits your sound better, because they're more dedicated to the task, so they excel at 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a condenser mic, or if you're upgrading from something quite cheap and you want to get something that's going to cover you for your lifetime, the Stealth has got to be the one, because it does everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just so packed full of features, especially for the price point. It's absolutely crazy. Being a big seller at the moment as well, because it covers so many different fields, from studio recordings and stuff, but at the moment lots of podcasts, all that kind of stuff that's going on, and people are just loving them.
Broadcast, of course, is a good live mic as well. That's the other thing, is you can take that out the studio and use it in all sorts of live applications, because it's a dynamic. But having said that, a lot of people are using Origins and Spirits and Starlights live as well. A lot of our artists are. Limp Bizkit, Paul uses that on his guitar cab on stage, and so on, so on. I'm not going to list names. You can have a look on the website.
Yeah, check it out all there. Oh, no, that's awesome, man. Now, before we kind of finish up, I know you guys have been working on a new microphone, the Aston Element. Any kind of cool updates? Anything you can tell us that we, any new news about it?
We just released the first images of it on Monday this week, so people can actually go now. I mean, the first thing I should say is, look, we are the Aston Element. The whole project is us opening up the Aston 33 panel to the public. So we
Cool.
want all of your customers, everybody out there that watches this. We want you to go and register and vote on the sound and become involved in the blind listening stages. The mic's due out in late September, early October. We've
Yep.
finished the body and the look and feel of the microphone. I'll do the reveal for you here. So we've
Ooh.
actually finished the microphone back in, and this is a working model. So actually, if I plug it in, you'll also see the badge
Wow.
lights up, which is pretty neat as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Very funky.
so that was all finished at the end of last year, and we've been working on the sound, and we got it to the point where it sounds like a mic, but not a very special one. And
Yep.
then we put it out for blind public voting about a month ago. So we've so far got about 2,500 people registered and voting.
Wow.
We want to keep adding people all the time. So your customers can go and register on the Aston site. Just navigate down from the microphones, astonmics.com, down
Cool.
through the microphone section, you'll get to Project Element. And then you can actually take part in those blind listening tests to help us shape the sound of the microphone, and become an official Aston family developer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's very, very cool. And I'm loving the look of it. So different to anything else out there as well.
It is. It's different not only in terms of the way it looks, but it's the capsule technology. Everybody knows about ribbons, condensers, and
Yep.
dynamics, and we've effectively invented something new.
Wow.
So
Okay. I'm intrigued.
never wanted to make it easy for ourselves. It's going to be. I don't want to reveal details about
Yeah.
it now, but
Okay. Okay.
it works completely differently to anything else that's out there. But what it gives you is the best of everything, and that I can tell you. So it performs like a condenser microphone in terms of you have phantom power.
Yep.
It has the reduction capabilities and the robustness of a dynamic microphone. So you can use it not only on the studio, but live as well.
Yeah. Cool.
And it has the openness and the kind of mid-range characteristics of a ribbon. And in fact, a lot of the characteristics of the capsule are ribbon-like, but it isn't a ribbon mic. So it's, you get all the best bits of all three mics
Yeah.
in one. So it's just cool, pretty cool.
Very, very cool. Well, look, I'm sure we'll be getting our hands on one as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time, man, to have chat to us and talk through the whole Aston range. We really appreciate it. We are so impressed with what you guys are doing and really love it all. So thanks so much, man.
Thank you very much for having me as well.
Thanks for tuning in, checking out this video. If you want to see any more information on the Aston microphones or see current deal prices, just click on the link below. But I'm Alex from Brisbane Sound Group, and we'll see you guys soon. Cheers.